people's food choices are often influenced by the environment they're in. I mean, even our hospitals, Lucy. I mean, just to show how dire the situation has become, is our hospitals are now a branding opportunity for the junk food industry. So 75% of food purchased in hospitals is considered unhealthy now. And, and I started, one of the things I started in one of my earlier campaigning issues was actually to try and, to ensure that we get a hospital food environment healthier, because we need to start in our own backyard. And 50% of NHS employees are overweight or obese. And some of that as well is because of lack of knowledge amongst the medical profession and nursing profession, and even lack of up-to-date evidence amongst dietetics profession as well about the impact of food on health. So because it's not part of training, there's lack of knowledge, there's lack of confidence to actually implement this even on an individual level when doctors are having consultations with patients. But I think, and this is not fat shaming, I mean, just look at many of these healthcare professionals who are obese or overweight. Just to give you some perspective of the imbalance, Lucy, 2017, the food industry spent about £143 million on marketing confectionery, crisps.
You're talking about the UK, or are you talking about...
In the UK, the UK, and sugary drinks. And that was 27 times more than the government had spent on healthy eating campaigns. We can argue the toss about whether those healthy eating campaigns were the right advice, but just to give you some perspective. So go to the real issue is ultra-processed food.
In that sense, it moves us on to coronavirus and the current pandemic. And I know you've written and talked about how the obesity epidemic in this country has been one of the drivers of our high death rates, and I wanted to just touch on that with you if you would like to talk about it. I mean, you were quite early on very aware that this might be the case in this country, having looked at the data from Italy, but yeah, let's have a chat.
Yeah, sure. So I think we now, that was something that became apparent. I remember writing, in fact, the first piece interestingly I wrote on this, the first article was in the Sunday Express. And then I followed with a piece in the European Scientist, which became, went viral, and then the Telegraph, and and I wrote in the Physician as well, in a medical journal about it. So essentially, what is now clear is that 90% of the death rates of COVID-19 around the world, Lucy, have occurred in countries where more than half of the population are overweight or obese. So we know that 2/3 of people in this country are now in that category, certainly similar in the United States. And on a very basic biological level, what happens is excess body fat itself is see it as a toxin to the body. Exercise itself certainly is very important for physical and mental health. Has zero impact. Let me repeat: zero impact on weight loss. I busted that myth several years ago in a British Journal of Sports Medicine piece with two international scientists. It's all about what you eat. That should have been the main focus. So the public health message should have been from the Prime Minister. Eat real food, protect the NHS, save lives, as well as so-called stay at home, which again is now being disputed.
So are the critics the food industry
deliberately misinform people for the purpose of profit? This is what these industries do. And and indirectly, really, what they are is they are interfering with true informed consent. And therefore, I'm a Democrat. These people are enemies of democracy. Absolutely. These corporations are enemies of democracy. So, of course, if I'm speaking the truth, I will get criticized from those enemies of democracy. And that's what happened.
So even the stay-at-home message could have been counterintuitive, really, in the sense that we actually want people outside, getting sunlight, if there is any, vitamin D, and moving. This helps with...
But eating real food, ditching the junk. See, remember, this is 50% of what people are eating. So that's not a small amount. It's a lot of food that is just absolute junk, toxic to the body, doesn't provide much nutrition, and increases your risk of weight gain.
So talk us through what you consider to be a good diet. And I know you've had critics of the Pioppi diet, which you can define for us. But what should people be eating, and what should they be avoiding?
Yeah. So just to be very clear, Lucy, on this, the critics are basically the bad guys. It's very straightforward. The critics are the people who profit from destroying people's lives and killing them. This is what these industries ultimately are doing, especially the food industry and to some extent the pharmaceutical industry. I can argue the toss with anybody on that topic, anywhere, any place, anytime. I'd be happy to do that and explain what they are doing.